Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahasham, Barakaha Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Bahasham Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Matthew chapter 24, and the header reads, Sign of Hamashiach's return. And I'm going to jump down to verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And this was Yahawashi Hamashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ's disciples in the past, asking him of the signs to look for, to know that the end was nigh and that his second coming was near. And we know that through Romans chapter 15, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. So really, Yahawashi was speaking to his disciples today to tell them the signs to look for his second coming and the end of this current age, the current age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites, or the so-called white people. And as it says in verse 7, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And if you have a spiritual eye salve and have been watching the news, you can see that these different signs are taking place as we speak, or in the process of taking place. And in this video, I'll be dealing with the famines that Yahawashi Hamashiach told his disciples to look for. This is an article from activistpost.com titled, And a Famine is Looming over the United States of America, and there shall be famines. And also, if you've been paying attention in the news, what have you heard about? Mega droughts in the western half of the United States of America, talks of food shortages, such as chicken shortages, talks of water shortages, and a couple of years ago, you had the head of the UN Food Group saying that they expected that there to be a global famine where up to 300 million people globally would be on the verge of starvation and death. And hey, from this point on, things are only going to get worse and not better. So if you're one of the sincere Akim out there, you should be doing whatever you can right now to stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi, so you can have that protective hedge over you for when all these plagues and pestilences of Jacob's trouble really kick off, and there's mass death, destruction, and pandemonium going on all around you. In an effort to raise awareness of the U.S.'s looming famine, I recently wrote, Are you ready for the everything shortage? As hyperbolic as it might seem, that title is not an exaggeration. It's the future we face if we don't do something to change course. And there is no changing course. We're in the last seconds of the last days. We're in the last seconds of the rulership of the heathen nations, again, chiefly of the Edomites, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven, where the true children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, will rule for eternity. Also, over the past several months, I've written several articles to alarm activists and preppers alike regarding the coming shortage of necessities like food and water, and virtually everything else. Don't say you weren't warned about famine, and especially with the true men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone out there on the highways and byways pushing this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this, not only telling the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel of what's to come and what they need to do to stay in the good graces of their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi, but also telling 2/3 of the nation of Israel who were hard-headed and refused to return under their power, and you heathen nations, of the judgment to come from Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi for all the wickedness you've been committing on this planet. In the article I mentioned above, I wrote about global shortages and coming shortages facing the worldwide economy, and my other articles warned of food, chip, fuel, and commodity shortages. I also wrote about inflation, crop failures, and scarcity of any goods consumers may need or want. I will save you my rehashing of that article, but another that I suggest you read is my article entitled, Next on the List of American Catastrophes, a Western Megadrought. This article details a drought in the American West that is not coming, but is already here. I drew connection between this drought and the future effect of food shortages in America. Many might have ignored that warning. A month later, the drought is still here, and so are its effects. Some farmers aren't even bothering to plant. In California, some areas are so dry that farmers are not even bothering to plant crops this season. Growers located north of San Francisco pulled out of the local farmers markets and now produce box programs. However, County Line Harvest, which farms around 30 acres in Petaluma, does not have enough water to grow the lettuces, peppers, and other produce that go into the subscription boxes. Many other farmers nearby are saying the same thing. California grows a third of the U.S.'s vegetables and 2/3 of the nation's fruits and nuts. Dry weather is now causing a significant hiccup in food prices and inflation that is already taking place across the U.S. But California only has to hold on until the rainy season. That has already passed. Only the rainy season was anything but rainy, and of course there are the wildfires. As the drought worsens in California, the state has already had more than 900 additional wildfires than it did at this point in 2020, which itself was a record-breaking year that resulted in more than 4% of the state's land burned. This year's fires have burned about 5 times as much land as they did last year at this time. California's mountains and foothills will see above normal wildfire activity from June to August, and possibly even into the fall. Keep in mind about 94% of California is experiencing drought conditions ranging from moderate to exceptional. Don't believe me? Pay attention to the trees. Another telltale sign is the fact that usually drought-tolerant trees in both Arizona and California are dying. As Wildfire Today writes, junipers are dying in Arizona from a lack of water. The East Bay Times reports that drought is likely responsible for dead or dying acacia, eucalyptus, and Monterey pines in East Bay regional parks near San Francisco. The Associated Press also reports, in Arizona, junipers are succumbing to the 20-year drought and its 2-year intensification, said Joel McMillan, a forest health zone leader for the U.S. Forest Service there. Officials haven't done a precise count, but anecdotally, the die-off is 5% to 30%, with some patches up to 60%. In California, normally drought-tolerant blue oaks are dying around the San Francisco Bay Area, said Scott Stevens, a fire science professor at the University of California, Berkeley. They don't have access to water. Soil moisture is so low. When you start to see blue oak dying, that gets your attention. That $3 burger just got real expensive. The drought is affecting the Dakotas also. In North Dakota, for instance, cattle ranchers see grazing lands die off because of no rain. No rain means no grass, which means no hay, which means no food for the cattle. If the ranchers can't sustain the cattle, they have to sell them off or cull the herd, and that is precisely what they are doing. And you can guess what happens when the cattle and other livestock get culled. That 3% burger just got more expensive. As AcWeb reports, in fact, herd culling has reached the point where co-owner Larry Schnell says the auction has 2 sales a week, which will continue through May. Last Thursday, Schnell said the auction sold 700 cow-calf pairs. We're in extreme drought, Schnell said. We haven't had a really good rain since September of 2019. Parks are closing to prevent overfishing due to the drought. And in Colorado, the drought has become so bad that Colorado parks and wildlife officials announced that they are closing a 0.6 mile of the Yampa River to prevent overfishing that would result from the drought. because the water releases into the Yampa are critically low at only 20% of the average for this time of the year and will likely soon fall below 15%. We're facing famine conditions. The drought isn't coming, it's here. And whatever you think might be the causes, there are no signs that any reasonable solutions will be discovered or implemented anytime soon. The best course of action is to prepare and plan now. And the only way you can prepare and to plan now is to be of that hopeful elect number of the nation of Israel and be doing everything you can to, again, stay in the good graces of your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so you can hope to have that protective hedge over you for when all these calamities of Jacob's trouble really pop off. Because while you may see a little bit of let up here and there, like I said earlier, ultimately things are only going to continue to get worse. This is the new normal, and it's going to be a new horror for the majority of you people on this planet, because nothing but mass death, destruction, and misery awaits you, because it's all the judgment of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai on you people on this planet for all the wickedness you've been committing. Now I'm going to go to 2nd Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And this was the prophet Esdras speaking. The visions he saw of the times we're living in right now and the times we're going into were so bad that he asked, what shall I do when these evils come? And as it says up in verse 17, woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? You better hope you're of that elect number and have that protective hedge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai over you. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And hey, you're seeing a small example of that right now. As we just read from that article, things are looking very bad. And over these past couple of years, and especially with these C-19 lockdowns, things have gotten bad. But do you see people, especially the majority of the nation of Israel, returning to their power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai? No, they've waxed worse. So that means that judgment's going to be much worse when Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai really opens up that floodgate of destruction and judgment onto you people. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. During the times of Jacob's trouble, if you're not of that elect number and you escape the famine, the only thing you have to look forward to is getting caught up in these race wars, civil wars, a state of martial law, getting thrown into a concentration camp, and ultimately, if you get past all that, you get to get taken out by the cherry on top of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai's judgment, those nuclear missiles getting shot to the ends of the earth. Verse 23, and the dead shall be cast out as dung or shit, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. There's going to be so much death and destruction in that day that you're not going to give a second thought to all the dead bodies you see, just like you don't give a second thought to that turd that you flush down the toilet. As it says in Jeremiah chapter 25, and the slain of the Lord shall be from one end of the earth even unto the other. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. As you can clearly see, we're quickly coming into the times of Jacob's trouble, where the only thing you can do is rely on Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai for salvation. So like I've been saying all throughout this video, you should be doing whatever you can to make your calling and election sure and have that protective hedge of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai over you for when Jacob's trouble really kicks off. So again, I hope this video was edifying to you, sincere Akim, and I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.